In today's episode, let's explore how the BJP uses social media to monopolize messaging. Social media, as we all know, has made Indian politics inclusive by allowing citizens who were traditionally excluded by geography and demography to be included in the political process. It has allowed diversity of viewpoints and public discussion on an unprecedented scale. As today's episode suggests, when we look at the countrywide branding campaign of the BJP, which is very different from any other political party, we need to understand how this originated. If we are trying to look at BJP's countrywide branding campaign, we need to go back to understanding how the Gujarat model was branded when Prime Minister Modi teamed up with Prashant Kishore in the 2012 elections and made him win the election. So, if you see, it's not something that has started recently or a couple of years ago. It had started originally in 2012 and it was implemented on a small scale then. And later, for the 2014 campaign, it became a countrywide branding campaign. Anyone who looks at the BJP politically and tries to understand its strategy, it's very clear that BJP uses a great combination of online as well as offline strategies very well, along with its very strong ground force base and its membership drive. We cannot ignore the BJP's organizational structure, which plays a huge role in the way BJP operates from the top to the bottom and to the last Karyakarta. There are a few very common traits of the BJP's messaging that today we will try to look at and then try to understand how BJP uses social media to fit it in this context. If we look at the political scenario after the BJP won, it is very clear that extreme speech and hate speech have become a routine part of political campaigns and communication in India today. There is an online rage that is brewing up within the political communication, with a lot of unethical tactics being used for propaganda and for creation of fake news. For example, if you look at the IT cells of the BJP and the Congress, you will notice a lot of attacks on each other. Well, don't mistake them to random attacks because they are carefully coordinated social media attacks that happen. But if you observe, BJP has a much more complex structure on social media compared to the Congress. But what is common in both of these parties and their social media wings or the way they run it is both have a set of nodal or something like seed accounts, which is the source of all political communication. Now let's try to understand what seed accounts are and what kind of characteristics or traits these accounts have. These accounts, which are unverified, put out content at an abnormally high rate. For example, like 2 tweets per minute or at least 30 tweets per hour. That's the rate of their tweeting. These accounts are the source accounts for starting any kinds of trends or any sort of campaign on Twitter by the BJP, and they are also the accounts where the entire political content belonging to the BJP originates from. Now that we are in 2021, I have to say that most of these accounts, the seed accounts, were created sometime around 2013-14 for PM Modi's election campaign. Here's where it gets interesting. Nearly 20,000 seed accounts operate from the BJP's side. And mind you, all these are followed by BJP's senior leaders and their office bearers. Around 75% of these seed accounts have almost the same profile picture. For example, let's have a look at this account. It has the same profile picture as this account again. So you see the similarity. So this kind of accounts are called as seed accounts. From the seed account, if you notice, each seed account under it has 80 second rung accounts. These second rung accounts amplify the content that is put out by the seed accounts, probably in terms of retweets or any other sort of trend that the BJP wants to create. There are a few reports that indicate that almost 1.4 million Twitter accounts are affiliated to BJP. One tries to understand BJP's social media setup, it is clear that there are at least around 67 clusters, with each cluster representing one geographical region. And most of these clusters belong to states like Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Jharkhand, Bihar, Delhi. Creating and sharing content is just one part of the strategy of the BJP. Do you want to know how these accounts coordinate with each other? These accounts use a lesser known feature on Twitter called the lists. Basically, most of these second rung accounts belong to one list or the other. These lists help to track the activities of accounts very easily and also help in retweeting content on a mass scale. So, what is the difference between the social media activity of the BJP and the other political parties? The activity of the Congress and other political parties on social media is largely aimed at trending certain hashtags or topics at specific times. But here's what the BJP does differently. All these handles post low effort content. With this, they not only ensure that BJP or pro BJP accounts show up on a certain topic when a person searches, but also indicates that they're trying to increase their perception that they are the ones who care most about any and every issue. BJP also uses direct messaging platforms like WhatsApp. Given that nearly 82% of India's mobile users use WhatsApp, BJP uses this as its most favored medium and propagates messages through memes, creatives, videos, and agenda driven information to directly hit its voters. Using WhatsApp feature of creating groups, political parties can identify interests, caste, or religious identity, or just through a specific cause or an issue, and then bombard these groups through very careful messaging to reinforce their biases and convince them that the party also agrees with them. So, the BJP is a master at this technique of slowly injecting divisive and polarizing ideas into its people and voters to make you believe that there is something really dangerous happening in the country. BJP has created nearly 500,000 WhatsApp groups across the country, and that is how it is acing this propaganda technique for social media and monopolizing messaging across platforms with 500,000 WhatsApp groups and expecting that the count keeps growing. The BJP IT cell strongly believes that the future elections will be fought over mobile. As the BJP IT cell puts it, the WhatsApp elections. Thank you for watching my analysis. If you like it, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.